lights are off. Flying through the hallway like a disco moth. Hitching to the couch, then I loop through the fan. My tiny whoops grooving like a funky jam. I dip through the doorway, spin by the cab, bounce off the toaster, yeah, I meant to do that. Neighbors knocking, saying, what's that sound? It's my brush motor soul train getting down. Flying through the curtain, dancing on breeze, freestyle funk in my living room with ease. Tiny whoop magic, bumping every wall. I'm the James Brown of flight, can't stop it all. I got LED strobes and a shag rug trail. I'm looping through the lava lamp, leaving a tail. My whoops got rhythm, my sticks got soul. I'm the pilot of the party. On a roll, TV remotes a gate, the lamps a dive. I'm flying like it's 7.5. No GPS, no rules, no shame. Just a funky little quad in a soul train frame. We fly that flow, grab that gap. No time to nap, no time to nap. Hit that roll, funk and control, bounce that wall, we fly it all, we fly it all. Tiny whoop love, funky and free. We fly indoors, we fly with glee. Whoop it, loop it, groove it, move it, bounce it, flip it, funk it, rip it, fly that soul, don't lose control. Tiny whoop love gonna make you whole. I thread the needle through the vinyl stacks, bounce off the mirror ball, never looking back. My quad's got soul, it's got style, it's got sass. It dips through the incense like a blast from the past. I'm flying figure eights through the lava lamp glow, dodging house plants like a funky pro. My whoops got rhythm, my sticks got heat. I'm the pilot of the party with the grooviest beat. I loop through the hallway, I dive by the broom. I'm the disco ghost in your living room. I hit that split that's over grandma's chair. She just claps and says, boy, you got flair. I'm flying freestyle with a velvet touch. My quad so smooth it don't need a clutch. From the shag rug to the ceiling fan, I'm the funky little fly with a master plan. The curtains dancing on the breeze, freestyle funk in my living room with ease. Tiny whoop magic bumping every wall. I'm the James Brown of flight, can't stop at all. Can't stop at all. Can't stop at all.
Greetings, my name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to Sunday Q&A. That was the last flying gig of 2025 for me. World of Illumination. For the last 3 years, they've hired me to fly their Christmas light show here in Atlanta. And I broke the curse this year, man. Those of you that have been around for a while will know that there was a strange curse with this gig for me, where at the very end of my time flying, I would crash my Mavic 2 Pro into the trees. I did it 2 fucking years in a row. Last year I realized why it was happening. So when I fly the Mavic 2, I use the hell out of like the telemetry that's there, and my one favorite thing to use is the altitude. And so when I get there, the first like half a battery, what I do is I fly up to the top. So this spot is like surrounded by trees. It's brutal. And so what I do is I fly up to all the trees, and I go up to the top of the tree, and then I lower down, and the light on the bottom of the Mavic 2 comes on, and it's super easy. And then I just look at the altitude, and I'm like, okay, these trees over here are 46 feet. Stay above 50 on this side. These trees over here are 86 feet. Stay above 90. Well, the parking lot is on a slant, and the altitude is from where you take off. And I've always flown from the bottom of the parking lot, which is downhill a bunch. And so at the bottom, and there's this big line of trees that run down the right side of the park, will run up the hill on the right side of the parking lot. And so whenever I would go over those trees, I'd be like, yeah, for 2 years in a row at least, I'd go over those trees, and they're about 100 feet high. And I'd be like, okay, cool, stay 110 feet and above. Well, when I fly a Mavic, the other thing I do when I'm flying a Mavic is I never fly forwards. I'm fucking sideways and backwards and like, this is so cool that, because the gimbal, right? Like the gimbal flattens everything out, and it's just like the most fun kind of weird way of flying. And once you know where all the trees are, you can just be completely almost completely reckless with it. And I was doing the same thing, actually, last year and the year before. I was doing the exact same thing, like a big backwards horseshoe, and it was just super cool looking. And both years, just slid it backwards right into a tree. The first year, it fell down out of the tree, and I was able to find it. Last year, it got hung up in the very top of the tree, and I actually had to go. What was today, like exactly 1 year ago, this live stream started very late because I was up all morning with an arborist. I had to hire an arborist to come out and climb this 100-foot tall fucking pine tree to get the Mavic 2 out of it. But yeah, it's been fine. And dude, the Mavic 2 has survived 200-foot. Well, the first year it crashed from 100 feet. I think it bounced through the branches. It didn't just fall 100 feet straight to the concrete. It also didn't fall to concrete. It fell to grass and pine straw and shit like that around the trees. And then last year it didn't fall at all. It just stayed up there, and then the arborist got it and carried it down. But yeah, the Mavic 2 Pro's been pretty durable. I think that's the only crash I've had with it, though, so I guess not very durable. But the 100-foot fall bouncing through pine trees, I would not expect a photography drone with a gimbal to be able to survive that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what I did yesterday. We're gonna look at some flight footage from it today. I'll just play it while I'm kind of talking through it. We're gonna talk a little bit. So the footage that you were watching there, that was from the that's from the Avata-killer. Actually, this goddamn thing ran something like 6.5 minutes. With these, I've got these Gemfan tri-blades on it now. Love them. It doesn't need the quad blades. It's so light that it's totally fine with these tri-blades, and they're giving me even more efficiency than the quads, and also better response time. This thing is really fun, man. And Jesus Christ, the image quality coming out of the 04 Pro is really, really, really good. We're going to look at that. I flew one 6.5 minute battery on this, and then I flew three 3.5 minute batteries on my workhorse Cinewoop. Yeah, we'll take a look at both of that so that you can see the difference between Hero12 and 04 Pro. And you can also kind of see the flight characteristics difference when you drop 120 grams, basically, right? Like this is 120 grams lighter. Yeah, the 04 Pro in here weighs a little bit more than the Vista in there, but that's offset by the fact that I can run lighter weight motors on this. So this is almost exactly 120 grams lighter than that. And yeah, we'll talk about some of the advantages and disadvantages. The main one being on this, you're flying in whatever you're setting your exposure at, which in the case of night flying is like dark. Like at night, it's going to be dark. And so with 04 Pro, one of the big challenges is, the way that you want your flight footage to look is what you're flying through. And in this case, that's very, very dark. With a traditional Cinewhoop with a GoPro on top, you set the GoPro to the exposure that you want for your HD, and then the onboard FPV system brightens up like crazy. The Vistas are really good. At night, you can even put the Caddx Polar on there for even better night performance. And so, yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that. If I'm not a lazy shit, I can even grab my goggles and you can see the difference. If somebody I'll probably forget to do that, but if somebody reminds me, I might remember. Let me get these lights off of Christmas mode here real quick. It's very important. This is the most important thing that needs to happen right now. Purple or blue? Purple. Yeah. There we go. We're back. Merry Christmas, friends. If you didn't catch the 12-hour stream, it was pretty awesome. We built an entire rig that I haven't had a chance to finish up. We repaired the Mavic controller. We took it all apart with the help of a Madstech video, and I replaced the board that has the USB on it. That was a nice little adventure. And we tested Beta FPV Lava 2, version 2 batteries versus NX69. I'm going to do a whole live stream about this, but the results were pretty cool. The Lava V2s are a little tiny bit better. But yeah, I'm going to redo all of the testing. I'm going to turn off the VBAT sag compensation. And, you know, these batteries have all been cycled one additional time. We'll see if that changes the results at all. It won't, but you never know. I'm super tempted to fly these batteries today, but I don't want to cycle any of them any more than I have to because I'm going to do this other round of testing. So we're just going to chill on that. I'm going to plug a couple of, we'll fly 6 batteries here today. Get your batteries charging, friends. Fly your 6 today. Tomorrow you will thank today you for practicing. So yeah, get your 6 batteries in the charger. I've got 5 here that I'm putting on the charger. We'll fly them. We'll talk about how to fly better indoors with a tiny whoop because it's hard, but super rewarding. This duct is removed from this thing because the biggest, hands down, the biggest pain in the ass of the Avata-killer here is that you can't get to the memory card port or the USB port. You don't typically need to get to the USB port, but you do always need to get to the memory card port without pulling a duct off. So this is super annoying. And like you would have to really, really, really hammer a huge hole into one of these ducts to be able to get to that memory card slot. And I still don't think you'd be able to. Like the angle that you'd have to get in there, I don't think it would work. So yeah, like this was a bit of an experiment. Like I kind of just threw this together because I had this build and frame sitting around. And like I'm super tempted to leave this together because getting 6.5 minutes of runtime from a Cinewhoop with really good quality video is pretty rad. But like, boy, I don't know, man. Having to pull this duct off every single time I want to get to the memory card is a bit much. So yeah, and I would love to use this since it looks like we're never going to get 04 Pros again in this country. I'm being dramatic. I would kind of love to pull this 04 Pro out of here and use it on a 3-inch freestyle build. But then I'll probably end up breaking it, and that sounds pretty insane. Breaking a $250 camera and VTX that I can't get and or just don't have and can't get Best Buy Geek Squad protection on. That's a bit much. I've never really been able to afford that kind of a an expense when thrashing a freestyle rig around, right? Like working rigs are one thing, right? Like these pay for themselves. Flying freestyle is just, you know, taking your money and lighting it on fire. Because there's really no way to make any money from freestyle flying. It's fun and all, but you know. And look, I forgot to hit the first of many times that I will forget to. Oh shit! That I will forget to zoom this new camera in. I will say this though, man. This Sony A5100 killed it on the 12 hours of Christmas stream. It now that I have the dummy battery being powered from a source that can supply enough amps. Yeah, this new camera that my dad got me for Christmas ran for 12 hours straight. That's pretty good. And it looks nice, and it's small, and it's modern. I am a little bit concerned that the beginning of the live streams have been glitchier than normal. This camera has clean HDMI out going to a capture card. And I'm a little bit worried that the capture card is hammering this computer harder than the stupid Sony software was. It wouldn't surprise me because HDMI the Canon was outputting through USB, and I believe like old school micro USB too, and actually, it's even worse than micro USB. It's the one older than micro USB that is like obviously a little trapezoid. Why can't I hold my hands even? There we go. It's like obviously a trapezoid like that. It goes like... and I'm assuming that can't pass nearly as much data as HDMI. So it feels to me like the capture card with all the HDMI running into it, then running in USB-C. I feel like that's going to pass more, you know, bing bongs. Who knows? We'll see. I'm going to keep using this camera, and we'll see what's up. In the chat, Batatreads was first, FizzFPV was next, Chaser, Spaceman Spiff, Ricardo, Giddybots, Latrank, Natter, Flakadelic, Jimmy the Cow, Weebleeds in the house, Frank Nicholas, Midnight Rider, Mupshot, Render, Bitterroot, Tamava, Jimmy the Cow again, Red Honu, I probably said that wrong, Oliver Barker, Ricardo, Crom is in the house, what's up, brother, Uke, Bitterroot, Tanky, Chris FPV, Uriel, Batted Drones, Oliver, Weebleed, oh shit, Weebleed with a super generous $99.99 super chat. I'm probably going to spend that super chat on Weebleed. If we run out of things to do on this live stream, if not tonight after I get back teaching some folks to couples dance, because there's a bunch of stuff at Weebleed that I want. I've actually got an entire window opened here with... what drives me insane is that Tiny Whoop has these purple ORTs, which I'm dying for, but then they don't have any of the props that I want. They also have this Nano 5 camera that I'm interested in. But then Weebleed has all the other things that I really want. I'm working my way through Weebleed's, all of Weebleed's shop. I love going through an entire website. But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff at Weebleed that I want. The new GemFan 1614s, the new GemFan 1207s, the purple Air 2 frame. I gotta check these motors out. I don't know if I'm actually gonna. Well, no, I'm not gonna order them at 2550 kV, so I can actually close these out. I just wanted to look at them. I need to get this super slick little fire extinguisher can to put down here by where I charge my batteries. I'm interested in this little Happy Model crown. It's a little bit heavier than the ORT Micro V, but I do want to check it out. And then I might actually get another one of these Newbie Drone mosquito frames. The only thing I'm worried about is they don't have holes for the C clip and the motor shaft. And so some motors won't work in this frame. But this is a super slick little 2.5-inch toothpick frame. And then there's these 3D prints that you can... I like... The biggest thing I like about this frame is how it holds the battery. You use these little 3D prints, and they just notch onto the front and back of the carbon, and then the battery slides in there. I really, really, really like that method of holding the battery rather than just like a janky rubber band on the bottom. And so, yeah. Thank you so much, Weebleed. I will be placing an order more than likely tonight. Chaser FPV. YouTube just did the thing. Chaser FPV. Andrew Taylor. Latrank again. Bitterroot again. Jimmy the Cow again. Oliver. Daves. Pepe Silva. What's Pepe Silva? Is it? I thought it was Silva. Pepe Silva. That's from. Pepe Silva is from, I almost said Third Rock for the Sun. No, It's Always Sunny, isn't it? But I thought it was Pepe Silva. Is it Sylvia? Pepe Sylvia? Is that what it's from? I think that's what it's from. Zip FPV, Dave's Gain Greeny Owl? What's that? Mini USB, that's it. Thank you. Ozzy Boss, Schnauzer FPV. I haven't seen Schnauzer FPV in a while. Speaking of Schnauzer, our Schnauzer is out in the backyard being a jerk. El Chingon, Dave, CCAD Ryan, Eco. I can't handle his barking. I gotta let him in. Hold on. Kenny, get your ass in here. Come on. What are you doing? Why are you out there yelling? Get in here. What's the matter with you? What's the matter with you? What are you barking at? Get over here. Get over here and say hi to the chat. Come here. Come here. Don't you dare just run away. Oh, what a little bastard. Well, I tried. You heard me. I tried. Little jerk. Type at CiottiFPV into the chat if you would like to speak to me. Don't put anything after it. If you type at CiottiFPV, comma, it won't work. At CiottiFPV, spacebar. And it'll light up an orange for me. Badit Drone says, took a while to work it out that the thumbnail was, if that thumbnail was RC cars or real ones. Nice. Oh, that would be too cool to have that fancy of an LED light setup for RC cars. That'd be ridiculous. Jimmy the Cow says, Natter FPV, don't worry, CiottiFPV's got them water slide stickers on deck. Yikes. We're gonna do them. Just, you know, at a later date. Badadren says, I missed the 12-hour stream. Sadly, any major breakthroughs in Whoop life missed. Just that these Lava V2s are pretty awesome. The 12 hours of Christmas stream is a really nice way to, you know, and it originally started when, oh, never mind. Watch the beginning of the 12-hour stream and I kind of explain where it started. I'm not gonna. That's like a 5-minute rant. Uriel says, when are we going to do a 12-hour stream again? 1 year from 2 days ago, 3 days ago. The 12-hour stream is absolutely absurd. It just wrecks me. The day after, I'm just worthless, like mentally, and physically. And then what I've noticed this year is I hurt my back every year on the 12-hour stream because I sit completely bolt-ass upright in a desk chair, moving around, crouching over, working at the workbench for 12 hours. And I never do that. Like, I come over here and I'll work for an hour or two, and then I'll take a break and I'll chill on the couch and I'll do like maybe 20, 30 minutes a DayZ. I'll come back over here. I'll do something. Something will happen upstairs. I'll go up there and handle shit. Like, I never just sit. I think the biggest thing is that I'm hunched over working. But yeah, every year, the day after, the day after and the next day, my lower back is like wrecked. And sure enough, my lower back has been wrecked for the last couple days. Absolutely ridiculous that, just doing a long live stream hurts my back, but I'm fragile, man. I get zero exercise. I hate exercise. What I gotta do now that I've, awareness precedes everything, as we know in the mental health community. What I have to do in the future is like get ready for it. Like weeks ahead of the stream, I need to just start sitting over here, for longer periods of time to get my body ready for it. But yeah, it's super funny because I'm all the day after. I'm obviously going to be broken because my brain has to be like on for 12 hours straight. But then the following day, when my brain works again, Maggie goes nuts and does lots of cleaning around the house, and she tears down most of the Christmas decorations because she's a Grinch. It's not because she's a Grinch. It's because she loves cleaning and she loves like the seasons changing. And so like after Christmas, it's just this excuse for her to like clean the shit out of everything and like redecorate, and it's great. And I absolutely love it about her, but it's hysterical to call her a Grinch. And so she goes bananas and does all that, and then like I remember back from last year, I was like, man, I was all broken last year too, and like I didn't help you, and I remember feeling bad for not helping you very much. And yeah, I think that's what it is. By the way, the other reason that I think that this camera into a capture card is hammering the computer harder is because OBS keeps giving me a encoding overloaded warning that I don't usually get. I think it's okay though. I don't think it's stuttering, other than in the intro. In the intro, when I'm trying to play, in this case, like a 4K file, it gets kind of stuttery, which is annoying as hell. But yeah, that's when we're gonna do a 12-hour stream again next year for Christmas. Uriel says Squizzers pin set. I don't know what that means. Uriel says, can you not download through USB? What's on the card? Even if you could download through USB, that would just mean that I would have to remove the duct on the other side. There's no way I'm going to hammer a hole big enough in this duct to get a whole ass USB plug through there. And not to mention like the motor's in the way, and it's just, yeah. It's because of like where the USB and the memory cards sit. They sit exactly where the mounting points are here. And so I would have to smash a hole right through where all the mounting gubbins, and then so I wouldn't be able to, it just won't work. There's just no way to do it. If you're gonna build a Cinesplore, a V1 Cinesplore with an 04 Pro in it, you're gonna have to pull the duct off every single time, which is such a shame because the Cinesplore, the V1 Cinesplore frame is the lightest weight of the proper Cinewoop frames. It works really well at this weight. Like the one of the reasons that this frame is so light is that the arms are only 3 millimeters thick. When you've got this loaded up with a 120 plus gram GoPro, and motors that are big enough to move that around properly, the arms kind of need to be 4 millimeters. And it becomes hard to get the tune perfect. And so you just run a tune that's backed off a little bit, and then you rely on Gyroflow or Real Steady Go, which is fine. Realistically, Cinewoop footage, you're going to be putting through that anyway. But yeah, this setup here with that less weight was a breeze to tune. But yeah, it just like, if you're going to actually use, like if you're just going to fly this around for fun, like whatever, it doesn't matter. Pull the footage off the goggles and you're good. But if you're going to use this for work and you have to deliver the actual full quality footage, it's going to get real old having to remove this duct over and over and over again. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know about the Avata-killer. It was a really fun experiment. And if I pull it apart, I may very well look for another lightweight Cinewoop frame that the 04 will go in a way that you can get access to the USB port. One of the things I was kind of thinking is maybe rotating the 04 Pro so that the USB port feeds out the back. That would be incredibly frustrating when I needed to plug into the USB to update it, but you don't typically I guess I could maybe point the USB out the back. Then the antennas are going to be firing out the side, which is a little bit annoying, but it kind of doesn't matter because there's a duct to keep those antenna wires out of the guards. And so maybe I'll do that. I think, well, I guess I could point the USB port out the back. I don't usually, I don't know if you can get the flight footage off the memory card from the USB. I'll certainly, if I decide to do that, if I decide to leave it together, I'll obviously check that. That might be the answer. Or I might not be able to get to the USB port from the back either, because I got all the, you got to mount all your antennas and shit back here. And so, maybe that wouldn't even work. But yeah, if I decide to leave this together, I have to do something about this because it's just a bit much. But yeah, very fun build to fly, and 6.5 minutes is ridiculous runtime. And that's from a 4S 1050 mAh battery. I could easily put a 13 or 1500 mAh battery on there, but 6.5 minutes is plenty. It's more than enough. And it flies better, right? It flies better with the lighter weight battery. 4S 1050s are my preferred battery for Cinewhoops because they just fly so good. When you start to go up to those 1300s, 1500s, so it is stuttering. When you start to go up to those bigger batteries, they're just fat cows. I mean, they're already, when we went from Hero 8 to 9 to 10 to 11 to 12, they gained a bunch of weight, and then we went to bigger motors. Hell, I originally flew them on 4S 850s and really loved them, but now that they're so much heavier, the motors and the battery have had to go bigger. Uriel also says, no, only the postman is going to ring twice tomorrow. Midnight Rider says, you still have the $100 1 hour bunny suit. It says it's still valid. It is not valid. I put that thing away. Thank you for the reminder. I put that thing deep in the closet. There we go. That's the fund that we are currently working on. I gotta fix this. I'm gonna have to fix this everywhere. Hold on. That. Okay. What about here? Leave that one alone. Let's fix it here. Hold on. I got these sources all screwed up here in OBS. So there we go. What about this one? Yep, fix this one. Thank you for the reminder. We're back. Okay, yeah, we're good. Dave says, water slide stickers, is that a new name for decals? Last time I did decals was on plastic models like warplanes. Yeah, water slide stickers are these super annoying ones, but they look awesome and they're ultra small. And yeah, I have 3 massive sheets of them from Beta FPV here. I just need to get the little, there's a special little, there's these 2 little bottles of stuff that makes them easier to apply. I'm not going to try applying them without them, because I remember when I was a kid, working with those water slide stickers on little models and them being a total nightmare. I'm hoping that these 2 guys will make the situation a little bit easier, a little bit more realistic to kind of work with. But yeah, the water slide stickers are going to go on some tiny whoops, and I've been dragging my feet because I crashed the shit out of the tiny whoops, and so I'm going to spend all this time putting these water slide stickers, and they're just going to get ruined. So it makes me like, I have this issue with stickers. I get a sticker that I like, and I'm like, well, especially if I only have one, I'm like, well, I don't want to put this on because then at some point that thing will go away and then that sticker will go away. And I love this sticker. And so what I'll usually try to do is get like 2 or 3 of the same sticker. And then it's like, okay, I can burn the first one on something that might eventually go away. Like, I don't know, my car. But yeah, it's a thing, man. It's a sickness. UVC Assistant. What the hell is UVC Assistant? UVC Assistant. Mac. What is that? Background processes are used, utilities managing USB devices, like webcams or capture cards. Yeah, so this capture card with new camera setup is hammering the computer harder than the extremely shitty Canon software was. So I don't know. We'll see. If it drives you guys too insane, it's stuttering every once in a while, just let me know, and I'll spend more mental energy thinking about how to fix the issue. Maybe it means that I need to just unplug one of these webcams. I've got 1, 2, 3 cameras hooked up and this video source up here for flying through, and that's a lot. I'm asking a lot of a little Mac Mini over here. What I really need to do is get the damn laptop that was sent to me that is more powerful than the Mac Mini hooked up, but I can't figure out how to get it hooked up here on the desk in a way that is gonna kind of make sense. I've been out of room for forever on this desk. And so yeah, I just need to kind of figure that out. It might be time for this monitor to go. It might, I have a super fancy newer generation Mac monitor here, but then I have admittedly like my favorite, this is my favorite era of Apple computing design, the clear plastic and like silver or whatever. And I've had this 23-inch monitor forever, and I absolutely love it, but it is significantly dimmer than the new monitor, and the colors are not as well matched. But that's okay. I just kind of use this for like the chat and like just stuff. Like, right, this is like the secondary monitor. This is the main monitor. But I could get rid of this and then drop the laptop down here. But yeah, it's hard to see this. The laptop screen is only 17 inches, so I'll lose a bunch of real estate. But again, I don't do much over here. I just have like stuff, so I can just shrink stuff down. I don't know. In the process of doing that, I will probably paint this wall. So like that ends up being like a 2 or 3 day thing, because I'll pull the whole desk out, mask everything off, do a couple of coats of the lunar gray that I have in the rest of the room here. And that's just a lot of work, man. There's a whole bunch of holes over here from the previous owner that I'll have to patch up and shit. So yeah, it's just a lot of work, and I try not to do a lot of work. I hate painting, man. I fucking hate painting. Oh, I just hate it. And then that'll lead to like the other thing too is that'll lead to a bunch more stuff. Like I've been dying to run some cables down through the inside of the wall, but every time I try to do it, I can't fucking get it. There's a set of horizontal bastards inside the wall that I can't fish anything down past. House things, man. All stuff that I just don't want to do. I hate painting. El Chingon made changes on Meteor75 Pro 04 by using GEPRC 1002. Nice. 25,000 kV motors and an Air 75 frame. I've lost some flight time. Would some changes in Betaflight help? I have the stock tune. Any suggestions? Nope. Stock tune is going to be chilled out enough where it's not going to be a part of the issue. I'm going to assume that you've changed to more powerful motors, because the GEPRC 1002 25,000s are the most powerful 1S motors. So yeah, you've gone to the most powerful motor. So every single time you go full throttle, it's gonna just drink that battery down in big gulps. Although the Air 75 frame, I didn't have problems with it. I didn't have to do any kind of special tuning. It's not here. It's over there on the shelf. But yeah, I didn't have an issue with the Air 75 V2 frame, but there could be like a frequency that's resonating a little bit more. You know what you want to do? I think you want. I believe the Meteor 75 Pro. Oh wait, you might be having the. You might be having the. If you're using the canopy that thing came with, you might be having the camera wobbling up and down in the. Do you have Jello? You'll know if you have Jello. If you have Jello, then yes, this could be a part of the problem where the camera. Oh, wait a second. You said Meteor 75 Pro. Oh, but you went to an Air 75 frame. Try this. I think I still have the filter. So when I did that, and I think I have a live stream about this where I've shown it, but I might be able to save you some time. Wait, no. Where's that AIO? Yes. Here it is. Here's the AIO that I did that on. I had to put a notch filter on because this canopy with the rubber mount, the camera wants to vibrate on the pitch axis. And that started when I did exactly what you did and moved from the 75 Pro frame to the Air 75 V2 frame. And so you might need to do what I did, which was to take a black box log and send it to someone smart, like Brandon's Baked Beans. And then he said, yo, try this. There's a crazy amount of vibration at a very specific frequency, which I was 99% sure was the camera flopping around, and I was right. And once I put this notch filter on there, everything got way better. I am struggling to plug this in, so while I'm waiting, I'm going to click Betaflight. Yeah, it is. Computer is just struggling, man. Struggle bus. I do love having this many cameras plugged in. I do love being able to swap back and forth between this many cameras. So I'm very motivated to not remove any oh, look at that. YouTube just shit the bed. That doesn't help. It doesn't help that that YouTube is astronomically unstable. There we go. All right. Try this little notch filter here. But hold on. I got to do all this shit to make up for YouTube being a steaming pile of asshole. All right, there we go. Where the hell did Betaflight go? Oh my god, it's still not opening. God damn you. Oh boy, the computer is just getting absolutely hammered. Oof, doesn't help. It certainly doesn't help that I have a bunch of tabs open in Google Chrome, but I've always had tabs open in Google Chrome, and it's always been able to handle it. Okay, so here it is. Try this. Put this gyro notch filter in there. Gyro notch filter 1, center at 148, cut off at 125. Try that. See if that helps anything. You should have known, though, because there should have been a bunch of camera vibration in jello. That notch filter was specifically dropped in there to handle that. But in the process, like when I had all that jello, the runtime went to absolute hell. Because the PID loop was trying to push back against those vibrations. But it was like damn near unflyable like that because it was shaking so hard and I could barely see where the hell I was going. So, yeah, there's that. Give it a shot. It might help. Otherwise, yes, you saved some weight, but you went to a more powerful, higher KV motor and smaller propellers. And that has the potential to cause issues. Cause a drop in runtime. There we go. There's words that actually make sense. 30-party canopy. Okay, then don't do that. El Chingon. Yeah, you went to a smaller propeller. The smaller the propeller, the less efficient it's going to be. And a higher KV, more powerful motor. So, yeah, you're going to lose a little bit of runtime. But it'll fly a lot better. I'm certain that it's flying a lot better for you. Batadrone says, next 12-hour stream, do a get up and move 5 minutes every 2 hours for both you and the viewers. That's a really good idea. Really, really, really good idea. Uriel says, ouch. Render says, got my T8L in today. I don't even know what that is. What's a T8L? Put the AG01 nano gimbals in it, some ripstick stick ends. I've ripped out the chip antenna, and I'm putting a pocket antenna on the outside. Good Lord. This guy gets a new transmitter, I'm assuming the T8L is, and just annihilates it. Way to go. You're one of us for sure. Dave says, sure you can get video footage from USB. It shows up as a drive on your PC. Okay. Yeah, so that's what I would do then. I would rotate that 04 Pro 90 degrees to point the USB out the back. Hopefully, I can get at the plug, and then I would be able to update it. And you know, the memory card is just permanent in there, which is fine. And then away you go. FizzPV says, I am a sticker guy, LOL, and I stick every sticker I get. Nice. I wish I could achieve that sort of feng shui. It's not the right word for it. But Matthew Wegner says you can get blank transparent stickers to use as a base for other stickers to transfer them off later. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. Skizik says, help. What new camera connector will fit my Happy Model F4 2G4? It is a JST plug. It's either a JST 1.0 or JST 1.25. It's the yeah, I don't know the exact. I have a hard time distinguishing between JST 1 and 1.25, but it's one of those two. My guess is going to be that it's JST 1.25, because it's a bigger connector and 1.25 is bigger than 1.0. But yeah, it's one of those two. It's the it doesn't come on many cameras. You know what you can do? You can order the motor plugs from Newbie Drone, and I think Weebleed sell JST motor plugs, which are three pin, and so you can use them. I'm looking around real quick to see if I have. I do. I could tell you which one it is right now. So it's the smaller. So it is the same plug as Newbie Drone uses on their motors. And so now we can do this. We can go to Newbie Drone. We can search for JST. And they sell motor plugs. Here you go. Newbie Drone JST 1.0 and 1.25 motor plug replacement set. And now watch this. This is the magical thing. In here, they tell you. Essential kit. This set includes both JST 1.0 and 1.25 connectors. Oh, man, come on. They used to tell you which is which. God damn it. They used to say JST 1.0 is for our motors and JST 1.25 is for other people's motors. But look, oh, easy. We can just click the damn picture. Very obvious that JST 1.0 is smaller. You can see right up in here. Look at the distance between the prongs. Ready? I'm going to change it. Gets much bigger. So JST 1.0 is what you want. And if you spend $3 on Newbie Drone's website, or probably $3 on Weebleed's website as well, you can get 4 of the damn things. They're not going to have red, black, yellow, but who cares? There you go. JST 1.0 motor plugs will work for cameras on the 2G4. That right there is peak troubleshooting. If you're not going to remember something, at least know how to look it up. Good question, dude. Tanky says, I E6000 my VTX antenna on my Mobile 6 2024 after a repair and now have video problems. Could the E6000 be the problem? Worked fine before that. Probably not, but maybe. If you got E6000 like up in there and it's hurting the connectivity, then yeah, it could be a part of the problem. I've had a Mobile 6 2024 for a long time now with an antenna that is very much E6000 down, and there's no problems with that. If you're thinking like the E6000 could be insulating the board and causing it to overheat, that's not the issue. I've got a big ass blob of E6000 on that rig. You probably just hurt the VTX, unfortunately, when whatever happened to cause that repair. You probably hurt the VTX. Trying to find my place in chat because YouTube scrolled me to the bottom for no reason. Elchin Godin says, thanks, still way more fun with this new setup, getting 2 minutes, 25 seconds. Not bad. Nice. Yeah, just buy more batteries. Ricardo says, your video's cutting out. Yeah, kind of annoying. I'll get it straightened out. This camera is brand new. Running HDMI into a capture card is a new thing for me. You know, let's. What'll it do if I do that? I have another capture card. I have so right now it's going through an Elgato HD60S Plus. I also have one of these tiny little capture cards here, one of the like little $20 jobbers. So for the next stream, if I can remember, I'll hook this up and see if it's any better with this. Maybe the HD60S Plus is just like, I don't know, not jiving. Ozzy Boss says, I want to upgrade my Meteor75 antenna and goggle antennas. What would you recommend? I saw the TrueRC Singularity short for the drone, but I don't know what I'd put on the drone. Cheap. TrueRC Singularities are the best. They're not expensive, but they're also not the cheapest. So yeah, if you can spend a couple extra dollars, the TrueRC Singularities are just unbelievable. If you want to spend a little bit less money than that, the ORT, since it's a tiny whoop, right? Yeah, since it's a tiny whoop, you can do an ORT micro V on there. I sell a very specific version of these that has some extra shrink wrap, and it's a very specific length over on my Etsy store, which is linked from CiottiFPV.com. If you want to support me and pay less for your antenna. On the goggle side, I would definitely recommend TrueRC, because the goggle antennas are never going to get broken. They're always just going to be there, so you might as well have the best on the goggles, right? So do TrueRC Singularity on the goggle side. And then on the drone side, yeah, maybe save a few dollars. But TrueRC Singularity is the way to go, almost across the board. On the problem is, on the drone side, that antenna is eventually going to break. So I understand not wanting to run a $20 TrueRC Singularity on the drone, because you're going to break it and have to replace it. You know, something like this ORT Micro V, you're never going to break it. So you're going to pay less money, and this is just never going to break. It's a PCB with a trace in there. It's just, you'd have to like run this over with a car to break it, and then it would probably just lay flat and be fine anyway. And so, yeah, putting $20 Singularities on drones, you know, I only do it when it's like a drone that's not going to crash, right? So like the 7-inch back here has actually, it doesn't have a Singularity. It has a Lumineer antenna, but it's a $20 antenna. It's an expensive antenna because I don't crash it ever. My rigs for work, they have TrueRC Singularities on them because I try really hard not to crash them. I do crash them every once in a while, but they're not, I don't hammer them into concrete at 80 miles an hour. All my freestyle shit none of my freestyle stuff has TrueRC Singularities anymore because I got sick of breaking $20 antennas. And so, yeah, getting like a cheaper antenna makes a big difference if you're going to be smashing it hard. A tiny whoop, Meteor75, it's not going to be fast enough to really break, like 5-inch rigs, big power 3-inch rigs. They can create an awful lot of energy, right, that will easily break an antenna. A tiny whoop, probably not. But, yeah. El Chingon says, thanks, you're certainly welcome. Arthur Farrell says, stop using Chrome and use Brave instead. So I was transitioning over to Firefox, and then something refused to work in Firefox. And so I got stuck, and now I'm like stuck in between Chrome and Firefox, and I need to spend like a whole day just working on this computer. It's hard because like I have so much FPV shit that just demands my attention every single day that like I'll start to do like computer stuff to try to get the computer working well, and then 4 messages pile up and I start handling those, and then that leads to like 2 hours of FPV related work. So it's tough, but I really need to do it. I really needed to just devote an entire day to working on this computer to get it running. But I don't know. It's not like that bad. The worst thing at the moment is dealing with the zoom on this camera. I'm looking forward to getting a prime lens for this thing that's at 24 millimeters that'll lock the zoom in. I'm pretty impressed by the autofocus. I gotta be honest. I think I might leave the autofocus on. I'm a little bit worried that the prime lens that I get, which is looking like is a Tamron, is not gonna have as good autofocus as this kit lens here that's from Sony. So I think I'm gonna rent the lens first for like $27 whole and just make sure that the autofocus keeps up, because I don't think that there's going to be a way for me to lock the manual focus like I used to with digital SLRs, that you could just flip a switch on the lens that would turn off the camera's ability to control it. And every time you turn this camera off, it sets the focus to infinity. And having to reset the focus every single time is a bit obnoxious. Arguably less obnoxious than it trying to lock focus on my hand every single time that I wave my hands around, but then it pretty quickly nails focus again. So yeah, I think it's all right. We'll see. Lord Region says, happy to, I think is Brave the browser that will do all the things that Chrome does. Is that the deal? Will Brave do all the things that Chrome does? It might be ESC configurator. Yes, Brave does most things. Most. The top post on Reddit says, Brave feels like Chrome, but with all the useful stuff removed. That's okay. I need something that's not as sloppy as Chrome. Chrome is very sloppy. Sloppy is not the right word. Chrome is very bloated, is the word. There we go. Stop using Chrome. 10 ways Brave is better from 2023. God, I'm so old. There's plenty of people in chat that know computer things. Is Brave the way to go? Or should I do Firefox and then just not uninstall Chrome, but just not run Chrome? Computer people, tell me what to do. Tell all of us what to do. Matter of fact, Lord Region says happy holidays, and everybody, does anybody know, as a Windows 11 user, what would be an okay video editor? Is there a good free one, or should I just buy one just to show off for fun? I don't know PC stuff, but I'll bet you we can figure it out real quick here. Best free Windows video editing program. What's kind of cool is that if you look for like a free editing program, it's probably going to be more on the simple side. If you want to get into editing, what you want to do is just go for DaVinci Resolve. It's free to start using it, and then you will have to pay something for like the full version. But yeah, just do this search here on YouTube and then watch a couple videos. This one has 500,000 views. This is pretty good. Look for a video with a human being rather than just AI slop shitbag. You should use this program because the people paid me to make this video. You know, between these couple, you can almost certainly find ones that are good. Something that's good. Yeah, there you go. CapCut? Is CapCut the way to go? I don't know. Maybe. But yeah, DaVinci Resolve is really like the editing software at the moment. It's the one. If I had time, I would learn how to use it, but I know how to use Premiere, and Premiere is fine. So it's tough to. It would take me at least 10 hours to really get used to and like learn DaVinci Resolve to be anywhere near as fast. And then like I don't really do much with editing. Like it's not gonna do anything for me. I don't run to the ends of Premiere's performance. So I would be doing all that. I guess it would maybe allow me to stop paying for Premiere, but I still have to pay for Lightroom and Photoshop, and I don't. Yeah, it is what it is. FizzPV says it helps that I'm a sign guy, so I stick stickers for a living. Nice. Right. Andrew Taylor says, theoretical question for a quad that will be heavy. Does motor size need to be larger, or do you need higher KV, or both, assuming you're staying at the same prop size? Amazing question, Andrew. Thank you for asking that question. That's an awesome topic. So, the size of the motor. The size of the motor is very important because the motor needs to be a heat sink. If you need to pick up X amount of weight, you need to have a motor that is a big enough heat sink to not get too hot, carrying the weight that you want to carry at the speeds that you want to carry it at, which is basically just a way of saying with your flying style. If you want to use 80% throttle the entire battery, then you're going to need a bigger motor than somebody that wants to do long range at 20% the entire battery. Okay? The KV is a way of making power, is what I'm going to say. The motor size is a way of making power, but you also need to factor in the fact that the motor has to be big enough to dissipate the amount of heat for the way that you want to fly. And we're not just talking about the width of the motor, although the width of the motor is the most effective way of keeping a motor cool. When you make a motor taller, it'll make more power, but it doesn't really increase its cooling, its ability to stay cool. So you can't just make a motor taller and taller and taller and taller if you want more and more and more and more power. Because as a motor gets taller, it doesn't get better at staying cool, but it makes more power, which makes more heat. And so the ratio that we've figured out of width to height on a motor is between 3:1 to 5:1. If you want a motor that's going to stay cooler, you want to be closer to 5:1 of a ratio of the stator width to the stator height. And so when you look at like a Cinewoop motor, a really popular Cinewoop motor, which is 2004, 2004, 20 millimeters wide, 4 millimeters tall, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Perfect 5:1 ratio. That is a great Cinewoop motor because Cinewoops use a little 3-inch prop to pick up a big ass 120-something gram GoPro, right? And so 2004 is a great motor for picking up heavy loads, using a lot of throttle, like just flying hard, but the motor still stays cool. The reason why it's important for the motors to stay cool is that the magnets that are in the inside of the bell of the motor hate being hot. When magnets get hot, they lose magnetism and you lose efficiency and you just dump electricity and you turn electricity into heat rather than into thrust. So you want to make sure that you have a motor that's wide enough, but if you just keep going wider and wider and wider, it doesn't make that much more power. So that's why I'm saying that the motor has to be big enough. So this 7-inch rig, for example, is a perfect example of this. 7-inch propellers are giant and draggy and heavy, and they require a bigger motor. This motor is a 2510, 25 wide, 10 tall. It's a big ass motor. 25 by 10 is only a 2.5:1 ratio. But this motor is big. It is a big ass motor. And so I'm just not running this motor as hard as I possibly can. These Street League tri-blades on here are going to be too much for this motor. That's fine. I have them on here because I want to test them. This is the biggest motor that's available for a 16 by 16 mounting pattern. And so this is not really like the ideal motor for this rig. I could get a motor. The props that I'm going to run on this rig are bi-blades, and the bi-blades being less draggy and lighter, combined with this motor, it's fine. The motor doesn't get too hot. But I'm leaving a little bit of performance on the table. These motors are a little bit too heavy. Like I said, this is a 25 by 10. If this was like a 25 by 9, 2509 motor, it would be totally fine. If it was a 2508, it would probably also be fine. But it's the only one available. The biggest 16 by 16 motors go from 2507, which is on this build here, all the way up to 2510. I tried 7-inch props on the 2507, and it wasn't good enough. Also, this is like a long-range-ish rig, and so I don't hammer the shit out of this thing. This just kind of cruises. It's on these giant propellers, so it makes tons of thrust, so when it cruises really fast. I would not want to run this thing on these tri-blades at like 80% throttle. These motors would get too hot, and it would become super inefficient. So that's kind of the situation. You need to make sure that the motor is physically big enough that it's going to have enough power and grunt and response time for the weight of the propeller. And so that's also what I've kind of done here. Yes, these motors will overheat if I run them hard. I don't have to run this rig hard. It's big enough where it cruises fast enough. So I can cruise this thing around at like 25% throttle and it hauls ass. And it's efficient when I do that because the motors are not overheating. When it gets into prop wash, it'll use 80-90% of the motor's available power, but it'll only use it for a split second. So when this thing goes into prop wash, these giant motors will heat up pretty quickly, but by the time they heat up, the prop wash is gone. And now I can cruise again, and the motors will cool down. So it's a little bit of like a trick to using a bigger motor, but the problem is, like this motor, this volume of motor would be able to handle a big 7-inch tri-blade like this if the motor was wider and not as tall. So this is a 2510. If there was a 16 by 16, 28 by 7, right? So 20 instead of 25 wide, it was 28 wide or even 30 wide. And then instead of 10 tall, it was only like 7 tall. That is roughly the same size, right? We've exchanged width for height. That motor would actually be better, but it doesn't exist. And so, and I don't necessarily want to run tri-blades because, again, this is for going far, and that's a bi-blade thing. And this is also for being efficient. Again, that's a bi-blade thing. So, yeah, I make this work. I would rather have this on 2807s or 3007s. But I had these arms cut with 16 by 16 only mount pattern. And this is pretty damn good. It forces me to keep it on bi-blades, which is fine. And it forces me not to just fly it freestyle like an idiot, which is actually really good because I would smash it and crash it and destroy it. And so, yeah, motors are very confusing, admittedly. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot to kind of understand. But stick around. We talk about motors a good amount. Those are some of the sort of basics, though, to selecting the right motor. One of the things that you can do is look at bind and flies. Bind and flies usually will get you in the ballpark of what's a decent motor choice. What I'll do is I'll look at a bind and fly and then go a little bit bigger on the motor and then a little bit higher kV on the motor. And then I always try to keep that ratio of 3 width to 1 tall, upwards of 5 width to 1 tall. 5 to 1 is for like a Cinewhoop. 3 to 1 is for a freestyle build. The width of the motor does not do a great job providing extra power. It does. It does give you a little bit extra power, and it gives you a mechanical torque advantage, which is nice. But the height of the motor does a lot better job of making power. The reason why that's important is when you make a motor wider, it gets a lot heavier, and the response time gets worse. So, but it stays cooler. So you're balancing like the cooling of the motor with the response time and the weight of the motor. Also, having a heavy motor all the way out on the ends of the arm is a bad thing. So like for freestyle, where we're prioritizing performance, we want a motor that's as light as possible. And so we don't want a super wide motor. Super wide motors also don't feel all that great. They feel kind of dead when you fly them. You have tons of throttle resolution, which is great for cinematic flying, so it's kind of perfect. It's one of the other things that makes it so perfect for cinematic rigs. But they're not like exciting to fly. Like a 3-to-1 motor, like as you get 70, 80, 90% throttle, they just keep making more power, and they're just really fun. And you get this like massive burst of power up at the top of the throttle. It's and for freestyle, that's what you want, and that's kind of what you need. Also, you're having it's a motor for freestyle flying. Freestyle flying, you're going to spend like 98% of your time at 20 or 30% throttle, and then you're going to do little full throttle bursts here or there. And so it works very well for that. You've got a motor that has the potential of heating up because it's not wide enough, but since you only really touch full throttle every once in a while, it is going to heat up, but then it's going to cool right back down. So yeah, there you go. There's Motor 101 basically. I could talk for the rest of this entire live stream just about motors, but I'll leave it there because I'm sure a bunch of people are like, wait, what the hell are you talking about, bro? But yeah, keep asking questions about motors, friends. I love talking about them. They're one of the, if not the most important part of doing a build. If you nail the motor size and the motor KV, that build will fly great, almost regardless of everything else on there. KV just controls the RPM of the motor. And so if you buy it, if you have a motor that's the same size and you buy a higher KV version, it will make more power. It will make more heat. And so you can't go too high on the KV because then the motor will be too small. And so there's always like an upper limit of the KV that a given motor size will be able to handle. The KV of the motor is just how many winds are around each stator pole. So you can wind a motor to be 1,000,000 KV, but there aren't many motor sizes that'll be able to stay cool at 1,000,000 KV. And so, yeah, the continuing to go higher and higher and higher and higher on the KV, at some point it'll be too high. Tiny whoops are a great example of that. 0702 motors, you can get 40 and now 45,000 KV. That's too much, but with a tiny whoop, we're in a situation where the propellers are super inefficient. The smaller a propeller is, the less efficient it is. And so on a 65mm tiny whoop, we're at like a 1.2 inch prop, which is just the least efficient propeller possible. And so we band-aid that by going too high on the KV and just trying to stay off the throttle, trying to fly low in the throttle and just use bursts. And when you do a full throttle burst, yeah, sure, the motor overheats, but it cools right back down then after you kind of slow down. This is why 1.2 inch rigs belong in the house, man. The computer's getting real fucking bad. Real bad. Let me try quitting some shit. Let me quit out of mail. I'm sure that'll make a huge difference. Let me actually quit out of Discord. That might actually make a difference. All right. Didn't help all. Oh my god, the CPU load is just absolutely maxed. What the fuck is going on? Google Chrome is freaking out, which means that YouTube is about to crash. So we'll let YouTube crash here, and then it'll be way better afterwards. Hey, there it is. Right on cue. YouTube makes live streaming extremely difficult. It's really a shame. A lot of people want to come over from Twitch, but they come over and see how bad that YouTube runs, and a lot of times I think they go back to Twitch. I no FPV people hang out on Twitch though, so I wouldn't be able to go over there and survive. Usually YouTube isn't quite this bad though. This is pretty rad. how awful this is. Mike1CO says, I just inherited 3-inch Volador. Do you have prop recommendations for a 4S 3-inch with 1408 3500 kV motors? It's running HQ 3x4x3 V1S right now, and I don't have spares. Need to buy. Boy, do I ever. GemFan 3052 is arguably the best 3-inch propeller at the moment. We don't really have any like end all be all 3-inch propellers right now. We've got the GemFan 3052, so just snag some of them. And then get those and see how you like them. Get 3 or 4 sets of GemFan 3052s and see how you like them. Those 1408 motors are an example of, so 14 by 8. So 8 times 2 is 16. So that's a motor that's like a ratio of 1.8 to 1. That is a motor that's going to overheat all the time and murder your batteries. It's going to make tons of power. But in the process of making tons of power, it's going to just demolish all of your batteries, and it's going to get too hot. When it gets too hot, that's when it demolishes your batteries. You go full throttle, it instantly overheats. And then, but the battery just keeps dumping all of its energy into it, because like the motor just basically, it will pull the stator size of the motor will just pull that much power from the battery. So that motor being 8 millimeters tall, that is a massive stator. It is going to pull tons of energy from that battery. That is instantly going to overheat. It is going to continue to pull all of that energy from the battery, but it's not going to make any more thrust. So for you as a pilot, you're going to go full throttle. You're going to get a split second of massive power, and then you're going to get less and less and less power as the motor overheats. If it overheats enough, it's going to cook itself. It's going to melt the enamel on the windings. That's a good thing, because then that motor, there's going to be a motor that's shot, and it's going to give you an excuse to put a better motor on there. But just fair warning, those 1408, 1407, 1507, these are motor sizes that we don't run anymore, because they're wrong. They're 2 to 1 or 1.8 to 1, and these are just motors that are unpleasant to fly, and they hurt your batteries, and they melt, and it's a pain in the ass. So the best thing you can possibly do for that rig is to get those motors off of there. You want like a 1404 if you want it to be lightweight, or a 1504 or a 1604, something like that. You want to be 4,000-ish kV, maybe a little higher, maybe a little lower. That's going to make that thing a lot more fun to fly for you. The GemFan 3052 props are either M5 mount, which I believe those motors are, or T-mount. When you go to a smaller, wider motor, they're going to be T-mount, and so you'll be able to still use those same props. But yeah, there you go. There's how to improve the performance of that rig big time. Ramallah says, I've paused MadsTech's A1 issues vid. I hope a new controller completes well. Would you buy the A1 or wait for the 2? What's A1? MadsTech's A1 issue? What are we talking about here? I'm searching YouTube for MadsTech A1. Oh, the anti-gravity. Don't buy that thing. It's $1,500. Don't buy that. It is super interesting being able to fly straight and then like look around through the Insta360 Go is the A1 is interesting for those of us that fly live broadcast stuff. If they ever introduce a way of having that output clean HDMI that we can send into a TV truck. It's also interesting for certain extreme sports. I just saw Justin use it for snowboarding, downhill snowboarding. And so he was able to put the thing on a path and then check, like look back every once in a while at the snowboarder to make sure he was close enough. Usually we would have to do that with a dual operator setup. And it's going to be better as a dual operator setup for sure. But yeah, I don't know, man. $1,500 is an awful lot of money. And like, it looks like there's some signal issues here from Mads Tech's video, so that's a little scary. I don't know, man. It's just so much money for something from a company it's their first rig. You know what I mean? And so that's like horrifying for me. The 360 thing is also kind of gimmicky. Like there's a couple scenarios where it's really, really, really cool. But like there have been plenty of 360 drones in the past 4 or 5 years, and I've only ever seen people use them once. I've never seen a second video. I've seen like one video from it, and it's like, wow, that's crazy. And then they never fly it again. It's just, yeah. There are certainly a couple of scenarios, and I think extreme sports are one of them. So if you're chasing extreme sports competitors all the time, it might be absolutely amazing. But most people are not doing that. And so for most people, I think it's going to be super expensive, and it's going to be super fun for a couple of weeks, and then it's just going to sit there. That's just me. I could totally be wrong. But FizzPV says you deserve a day off. Take a couple. I did. I took Friday and Saturday off, and I'm recharged and ready to go. Every once in a while, I'll cancel a stream just for like mental health shit or like whatever. But you know, hanging out with you guys is really fun, and I legitimately enjoy doing this. I'm just sitting here talking through all these questions when I could be playing some of this footage. Here you guys go. Here's the second half of the battery that you were watching in the intro. So this is the Avata-killer at the World of Illumination last night. License to Drive says, have you looked at Brave browser? I have. We were talking about this earlier in the live stream. I might switch over. Arthur says, Firefox is good, but Brave is built on Chrome, so it's very similar, but much better under the HUD in many ways. All right, so yeah, I started to switch over to Firefox because it's less sloppy and bloated. It sounds like Brave is just as will accomplish that, but it won't have the drawbacks of Firefox. If somebody confirms that for me, I will never use Firefox again. I will download Brave. I will drop all of the tabs that I have opened in Firefox into Brave, and all of my Chrome tabs into Brave, and I'll see if it's any better. Rob Groove says you could just assign a button to manual focus on the camera. No, which camera is it? It's the Sony A5100. I probably could. I've only spent like 4 days with this camera, so I can probably do that. I have a lot to learn about this thing. So yeah, you're probably right. Frank Nicholas says Resolve parentheses base is free. The base version of Resolve is free. Yes. In talking about video editors. License to Drive says hold up the largest motor next to your smallest quad. I think I have a thumbnail where I did that. It's absolutely hysterical. absolutely outrageous that there's this much of a discrepancy in the size of builds around here. There it is. All right, now we're into the GoPro footage. Speaking of Frank Nicholas, massive shout out to him for sending me a Happy Model X14 for us to test. So I will have an X14 live stream at some point here where we'll build something with it and check it out and see how it is compared to the X12. I'm excited. We'll probably do I'll probably change one of my 2S analog 1.6-inch rigs over to this. Or maybe we'll do a fresh build. I do have the Happy Model M80 frame just sitting here. We could do a proper 1.8-inch 2S setup, see if there's any benefit there. But yeah, thank you, Frank. Very, very, very cool of you. A Merry Christmas to me and all of us, because we'll all get to benefit from the testing. So yeah, this is now GoPro Hero12. You were just watching 04 Pro footage. Now we're on to Hero12 footage. This is well, they're both filmed in RAW. No LUTs applied, no adjustments whatsoever. It's so dark that you barely even notice. This footage would not need much, if any, touching up, because we have such an extreme, right? Like dark darks and then bright LED brights. When you film in RAW, it is typically a little bit washed out. You're not allowing the camera to push extra contrast in. In a situation like this, that is exactly what you want, because there's this huge range that you're trying to expose for. Really dark darks and then really bright brights. If you overexpose flying in a spot like this, you will lose all of the color of the LEDs. All of these LEDs will become just white because they're very, very bright, and then the world is very dark because it's, after sunset. And so this is one of the more challenging sort of environments. And like I mentioned in the beginning of the live stream, this is an environment that exposes one of the weaknesses of the 04 Pro. So on the 04 Pro, in order to get good exposure and good HD footage to deliver to the client, I have to fly like this. Like it looks like this. And so when I'm around all of these lights, I can see what the hell is going on, but I can't see any of the support wires or the street lights or the trees that surround this. And so I have to fly in a way that is really difficult. Like I have to limp the quad out to this area where there's lots of lights. I have to have pre-figured out where all of the guide wires are, which I did when I first got here. And then I just have to hope that I remember where they all are and not catch one. Whereas this flight here, which is on an old school Cinesplore with a Vista on board, and it's carrying a Hero12, I can set my Hero12 for the exposure that I want, which is very dark. But then in the Vista, I've got a little bit more light. And I'm going to grab my goggles and show you that. So, let's pop the memory card out of these. And I can show you what I was seeing here. So this environment right here, flying the 04 Pro, I'm screwed. It's just black. I got nothing to reference off of. Where did the... There it is. But I'd pre-planned this route. So I was able, that was me landing back at myself. There were no real lights around the car. I had planned a specific route when I was flying the 04 Pro so that I could safely get back to myself. But that's a lot. Here's what I'm able to see when I'm flying the standard Cinewoop. It's not that much better, but it is certainly a little bit better, right? And so I've got at least a little bit of detail here in the shadows, and so you're really going to be able to see it. See, like, yes, it's noisy, but there's at least a chance that I can see like a guide wire or a street light. Here, let me the street lights were, where were the, not really street lights, they're parking lot lights, but here's one. So here's a parking lot light off on the right, right here. I could actually, basically, when I was flying this heavy Cinewoop, I was able to see the parking lot lights. When I was flying the 04 Pro, I just had to rely on the fact that I'd mapped out in my head exactly where they were. Luckily, the way that this light show is, that was kind of easy, but the 04 Pro is not necessarily just a replacement for a GoPro. This is a scenario where a GoPro with a really low light FPV system, maybe even a night camera on it, is way safer and easier to fly. You know, every year I do this, I am extremely safe because I'm not going to smack into somebody's car with a Cinewoop. That's a great way to never get this gig ever again. And so I do this very safely, but there's not a second in my mind that I'm not a little bit backed off with the 04 Pro setup yesterday versus this setup that's got way better low light performance. Does that make sense? And so I'm able to fly a lot better, being able to see where I'm going. Go figure, right? And so, yeah, that is one of the main things with the 04 Pro that is always going to kind of hold it back. Like, could I have cranked the ISO way up on the 04 Pro? Absolutely. And I would have been able to see where I was going, but then the flight footage would look like shit because it would be super noisy and it would be overblown. And like, this light show looks great like this. It looks great with blacks and then colored lights. If I'd taken the 04 Pro and sent the ISO to the moon, all of these lights would be white. I wouldn't have blacks. It would just look bad. It would look as bad as what you were just watching. It would look as bad as the goggle feed through the Vista. It would be noisy. It would be ugly. What's interesting is it would have made this shot right here a little bit better. This is one of the things that they do want is reactions of people hanging out of the sunroofs. But they know that that's almost impossible because it's super dark here. Like, if that was exposed better, all the lights would be white and it would be very noisy, yada, yada, yada. So, like, what I try to do is hang out near bright spot. When I'm trying to get those shots, I just happened to stumble into that shot. There were a couple spots in here that they had a bunch of bright-ass LEDs. I actually did this with the Mavic. I parked the Mavic in a couple spots where the LEDs were throwing off enough light to expose a car and the kids hanging out the sunroof properly. And so I tried, but it's hard. Like, look at that, right? Like, there are two kids hanging out that sunroof right now. I could see them in my goggles, but on this, underexposed so that everything else looks cool, you just kind of can't see them. And so, you know, this is FPV. One of the things that fascinates me most about FPV is the problems that we run into with exposure. You know, this is me being an ultra camera nerd, for the record. Exposure is fascinating, right? Like, how do you expose brights and darks in a way that looks really cool, maintains detail when you want to maintain detail? Like, right in this scenario, we've actually given up maintaining detail in the shadows, because if there was more light in the shadows, it wouldn't look as cool. It looks really cool having it be black with colored lights, right? I wish I could get a tiny, a touch more in the shadows. Then you can see these cars a little bit better. But, you know, little tiny cameras, little tiny sensors, we're probably never going to get that. But yeah, exposure in FPV is fascinating to me because we're moving all around, right? We've got this like camera that we can move in 360-degree freedom. And that introduces a lot of scenarios where we drop down into shadows, for example, and it's really dark, and then we jump up above the trees and it's really bright. And so it's a constant challenge to nail exposure and to find that perfect middle ground. And also, we're only flying cameras with little tiny sensors, which aren't great at collecting lots of light from the shadows. And so, yeah, it's one of my favorite challenges in FPV, that even, 10 years into this, it just doesn't get old. It's just a constant challenge to nail exposure on a particular day, at a particular spot, with a particular build, right? And there's a million different ways that you can help the situation, right? You can like only fly under the trees, and you can nail your exposure for when you're under the trees. So you fly a couple of batteries where you never peek up above the trees. You just chill in like open shade. And then you fly a battery or two where you cook the exposure down, you go up above the trees, and then you edit that shit all together, right? There are lots of different ways that you can do that. And it's just, yeah, it's always kind of been fascinating to me. I actually ran this battery a little bit too low, and I had to land it over here near the trailer, and then I had to walk around and get the thing. Yeah, there you go. I did put the Mavic up in the air, but it's pretty snoozy. It's photography drone footage, right? There you go. There's your Mavic footage. Doesn't get much more exciting than that. But, you deliver what the client wants when the client wants it. Hopefully when the client wants it. And yeah, that's it. That's the last gig that I flew in 2025. It's fun. That's a fun gig. There's getting the exposure right is legitimately difficult at that. And there's always and on the little screen, it's always like, this looks pretty good, but like my whole drive home, I'm sweating. Like, I hope that was all good. What's cool is they run that light show until like January 2nd or something, so I can always go back. But like, I obviously don't want to. It's an hour away. And so, yeah, every time I'm driving home, I'm just like, man, I hope that I nailed the exposure. I've done it a couple times, and I've so I kind of know where the camera needs to be. But still, it's just one of those things. Mupshot says, and apparently, according to the best brain in history, that a glass of water will destroy your magnet. What? What does that mean? The Until the Turbo says, hey, CiottiFPV and all, Gangly Man, you need to bring that 7-inch to Vancouver in June and go off with Off-Axis and I and others. Do it. Oh, man, I wish I could do more traveling. This year is... 2026 is probably not going to be a year of any travel for me or this family. But yeah, you never know. You never know. Maybe things will turn around. Things are going to get way worse before they get better, unfortunately. But, a couple of people that have all the money, they'll have even more. And they'll definitely just give it to us, right? Like, they'll just give us money, right? They surely won't do what they've done consistently, which is to keep it all. They'll totally just give it to us. It's coming. 2026 is the year. The 1% will just give all of us their money so that we can not die. Literally die. The Enzo the Turbo says, the Velox 3008 1500 kV motors I have are 16x16. Fuck you. Are you serious? I looked high and low for... Wait, 3008. No, 3008. That's not... Wait. Yeah, no, 3008. What? 19 by 19. Am I sharing my screen? 19 by 19. Yeah, dude, I looked and 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 looked. Is there like an older version of the Velox maybe that's 16 by 16? Victory? What the hell does victory mean? Nah, it's the same thing. 19 by 19. Uh, 2207, 3008. This looks the same thing as that. Thanks for getting my hopes up. Mike1CO says, thank you. Sounds like I should switch motors in the future. Yeah, man. Those motors that you have are kind of like worthless for everything, though. So just smash the shit out of them. Just fly that rig hard as hell. That Volador frame is really strong. So just rip that thing hard, and those motors will either melt or you'll bend a motor shaft. The other problem with those motors is the taller the motor is, the longer the lever on the motor shaft. The most common failure of a motor is that this motor shaft that runs all the way down through here, it bends, and then the whole motor and the prop wobble, and the rig explodes. And so with that really tall motor shaft, when you crash inverted, it's going to bend those motors up. So those are going to be really fragile motors regardless. So it won't take long for you to bend the shit out of one of those motors. For the love of God, don't buy replacements. Just take that as you're out and just put the existing 3 up on eBay or Facebook Marketplace or whatever, because there's going to be plenty of people with those motors that have bent the motor shafts. They will love to get 3 more. And away you go. GiddyBot says, interesting to hear that about 14-something motors. My 1 pound used 1406s for tangent drive, and I struggled with brownouts all of last season. I suspected the motors, but not many alternatives. So yeah, 1406, that's pretty aggressive. 6 millimeters tall and then only 14 wide. That's a motor that's going to get pretty hot. I don't know what a tangent drive is. GiddyBots makes fighting robots, and so God only knows what the situation is inside of a robot, fighting robot, right? Like we're blowing all this thrust down on our motors, so they have the potential to stay somewhat cool. No clue what happens inside of a fighting robot. But yeah, if you're having brownouts, that is potentially like a perfect example of a motor that is not wide enough to stay cool. But see, here's the thing though. If you're not blowing thrust down the motor, I don't know if motor width is going to help. I suspect that it will. I suspect that motor width will help no matter what. But it really helps us in FPV, because the wider the motor is, the more of the motor is in the airflow of the propeller. So if you were to switch from a 1406 to like an 1804, I'm sure it would help. I don't know how much it would help. But yeah, certainly worth a shot, because you're probably only using one of those motors. Stephen Corley put an extra eye, so it didn't light up in orange, but I just happened to see it. He says, what motor KV would you recommend for 3S 2.5-inch Baby Grinderino-ish design, 20 amp Happy Model AIO? 3S. It's been a long time since I've done a 3S build. 2.5-inch props, you're going to want, on 4S, I'm just going to do the math. On 4S, on a 2.5-inch prop, you're going to want 5,000 to 6,000 kV. You do the math. I'm not good at math. There you go. That's the answer. That's all you need to know. On 4S, I don't know. I don't know what you're going to have to multiply that by. 0.66 maybe? Maybe you multiply 5,000 or 6,000 kV by 0.66. Is that how we go from 4S to 3S? somebody in chat is currently typing the number right now. But yeah, on 2.5-inch props to make good power on 3S, you need minimum 5,000 kV, if not 6,000 kV. Kind of does depend on how pitchy of a prop you want to run, but that's why I'm giving you that range, 5 to 6,000. Maybe even more. Maybe even up to 7,000. Again, it depends on how pitchy of a propeller you want to run, and how much power you want, how much runtime you want. There's motor selection, KV selection is very difficult because everybody flies different. Yuke says, I just saw Beta FPV updated their site. New P1 VTX and Meteor75 Pro P1 looks like the old analog one. I like it. Yeah, they're using a ArtSyn or whatever the hell it is chipset for an HD VTX and camera system, which is pretty slick looking. What drives me insane about it is you have to use their goggles, right? It doesn't work with any other goggles, so that sucks a big bag of donkeys. But Denzel the Terrible says, tell me you power loop those arches at least once. Nah, I really, like, when I'm working, I am getting the exact footage that I need to get, and I'm out. Like, I don't screw around at all. If a power loop would have looked cool, I might have done it. But yeah, I try to put as few and the most gentle flight hours as possible on my working setups. I will blip full throttle more often than not, at least once or twice per gig, to make sure that as soon as I take off, to make sure it's not going to fall out of the air in a safe spot. But yeah, when I'm flying for work, I am like an airline pilot, where like I'm just limping it around to get the most efficiency, the smoothest, and the least stress. That's what it's kind of all about for me. Somebody that wants to do this forever. I would like to fly drones cinematically for the rest of my career, to be really honest. I probably won't be able to, but I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to try my best. It's something that I'm extremely good at. And it is the most fun part of, monetizing. 4 years ago, I decided to monetize FPV, and it is the most enjoyable part of a monetized FPV experience. The second it came out of my mouth, I almost threw up at the douchiness. Denzel says, I thought they were 16 millimeter motors. My bad, it's all good. He says, I am ashamed. You should be. All right, let's fly a couple of batteries. I'm probably not going to fly all 5 of these because I only have 5 more minutes. But let's fly 2 batteries so that you guys feel bad about not flying if you didn't fly today, because that's my goal here. To just beat you into flying. Because I'm telling you, if you fly 6 Tiny Whoop batteries a day, you will get a lot better at it, and you will get to a certain point where it becomes super, super, super fun. When you can do like gnarly power loops inside your house, you just stop going outside. And it's dangerous outside. There's no climate control out there. It's bullshit outside. Stay inside with me. But you got to put the work in. You got to put some work in here. You got to fly every day. I'm not going to fly this because it has my wacky double connector on it, and I don't want to break it before the test. Oh, we haven't flown 1.4-inch setups in a while. Let's do it. Let's do the Beta FPV one. So this is a Meteor75 with 0702 27,000 kV motors, the lower kV motors, that I transferred into a Meteor75 Pro frame. and put the 1.4-inch bi-blades on it. There was a couple of months that I was all obsessed with 1.4-inch builds, and then I just put them on the shelf over there and forgot to fly them much more. They sacrifice a little bit of response time, and so they feel a little bit sloppy on the sticks, but they're very floaty and they're very slow, which is super fun. Whoa, easy fella. They sacrifice response time because the 1.4-inch props are bigger, heavier, and more draggy. Hey. And I've tried, boy have I tried, offsetting that with bigger motors, but you can't. It becomes too heavy for accurate indoor flying. And so you just suck it up. And you crash into everything. Boy, this is quite the adjustment. I'm not used to the sloppier response time. Here's what we're flying. Ah, I hit the coffee table. This is probably why I stopped flying these. I'm having to make a massive adjustment to my flying for this thing. And that takes time and effort, and it doesn't make you a better pilot with the other stuff. Shit. But this is fun. This is a very fun build to fly. Oh, look at it just charging through batteries, 1 minute and 37 seconds. These are my old beat up batteries though, in fairness. Let's get this thing upstairs and just throw it and let it float, which is what it does super well. This is on the GemFan Bi-Blade 1.4-inch props. I forget what the specs on them are. Where's dog? Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh god, that door's not open. Here we go. Oh, the fucking float. Oh, the float is just obnoxiously beautiful. Oh, so much time for activities. Oh god. Oh, this is gonna hurt. Oh, it crashed up there. That might be good. Might not be good, though. Yeah, it's good because it didn't plummet all the way down here and smash into the hardwood. Oh, the fan tried to eat me and I said, no, no, no. Hey. So that prop wash that right there will not tune out because the motors are just not big enough for this heavy and draggy of a propeller. So you just fly it in a way that you don't put it into a lot of prop wash. Unbelievably fun. Ah! We got time for one more. One more! One more. That is just too fun, man. Oh, it just slows things down a little bit. Gives you more time to be like upside down and backwards and just kind of like loving life, you know? Love life. Fly a 1.4 inch. And you can just buy the frame and buy the propellers and switch some shit over to it, you know? You don't have to like go, you don't have to do like a fresh build to try it. I think this is where the dog's gonna be. There he is. He's visiting with his mother. He's hanging out with his mom. Maggie got a new chair. I was gonna power loop the desk, but dog's in the way. Let's see if he'll get all brave. Oh, there we go. Oh! Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Good dog. Oh! Uh-oh. Come on, big boy. What you got? What you got? He's not being as brave as he used to be. Oh! There he goes. He thought he would get it. He heard me crash. He's like, "Oh, I can go eat it now." While it's woo. Oh, see that right there, like that's the response time getting me. I'm used to blipping the throttle and getting a massive throw. But with the slower response time of this, you can't really do that. You have to like lay into the throttle to get that same throw. Oh, it just wasn't lined up. And instead of lining it up, I just crashed it into the bloody wall. Ah! Jesus, my timing is just all off with this. Hey, shaka chuka, pipa chichuki kakachuku. Come on, dude. What? These beta FPV rigs do this sometimes. They get like stuck in turtle mode. It's very weird. Doesn't make any sense. Who put that drum stool there? Shit sticks. Two good ones to end the stream. There we go. All right, people, let me get caught up on chat, and then we will all enjoy the rest of our Sunday nights together, but apart. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. Ooh, shit, man, that was fun. Fucking A. This is I gotta do more of this 1.4 inching. I remember how much I liked it. One of the reasons I like it is it's like it's just different enough, but it's not so different that it's like that it's hard to adjust. Oh, I don't know how to say that. I'm gonna say Ola. Ola says, soon as I got my Air 65 a week ago, I do 5 batteries a night in my not so big apartment, hoping to improve. Hell yeah, that's the way to do it. That's it. License to Drive says, night flying. Did you ever try Runcam Owl Starlight? 7 years I flew it in full moon, and I also put infrared LEDs on the quad. I've never done a full tilt, like night only camera, but for the fireworks edit that I did, which is still to this day one of, if not my favorite edits, and I'm gonna force you to watch it because it's worth it. That was with a Runcam, a toothless nano Starlight. which is like 0.001 lux sensitivity. The night cams are 0.0001. The daytime cameras are 0.1 or 0.01. So it's right in between. And it was really, really good. And I could totally find my way home. Wow, that edit's from a long time ago. Fucking A, that's 4 years ago. 4 years it's been. Jeez. Here you go. Link in the chat. It's called Fireworks in the Third Dimension over on my channel. And yeah, that I flew with the... Well, I used those toothless starlight cameras in all of... I think they're still in my analog freestyle rigs. They're just really good. That's the most night flying I've done. That's the most low light night flying I've ever done. CiottiFPV says, every time you fly the 1.4, it makes me want to build another. I saw there were more 1.5 millimeter props in 35 millimeter than 31. Yeah, it's kind of annoying. There are no the 1.5 millimeter mount 1.4 inch props. There are no bi-blades, unfortunately. There's just the HQ tri-blade. So on the rig that I just flew, what I really like is this setup with these gem fan bi-blades, but you can only do 1 millimeter. And so, yeah, these motors get wrecked. But this flies better. The other build that I have over there is on the HQ ultralight tri-blades, which is indestructible, but the response time really takes a hit. So if we ever get a bi-blade 1.5 millimeter mount 1.4, that'll be the way to go. Everything Simplified says G473 is, as far as I know, only direct solder. Yeah, that's very annoying. With 2.5 millimeter spacing, and also the black box is bad. How is the black box bad? Slow NAND. I don't know what that means. With only semi-usable logging rate at 1/16, 250 hertz. What? Same black box issue with X14. If you can only log at 250 hertz, I mean, it's not worthless, but it's almost worthless. What the hell is that about? This is the first I'm hearing about that. Most Tiny Whoop AIOs don't have black box at all, so logging at 250 hertz is better than not logging at all, but it's not that much better. That sucks. Well, I'm gonna use this X14 at some point here, so we'll take a look at that. That's annoying. FizzPV says, what happens when the big fan catches you? It smacks me across the room. I'm surprised it didn't happen. It happens pretty frequently. Thanks for hanging, friends. I'll see you tomorrow night at 10 o'clock Eastern time. We will do some things. Maybe that will be the live stream where we retest the Lava V2 batteries. Maybe I'll save it for Whoop Wednesday. I'm not sure what we'll do, but we'll do something fun. Cool. Thank you for hanging. Thank you for supporting me all through 2025. CiottiFPV.com is the best way that you can support me. Buy some stickers for my Etsy store, friends. That is one of the, if not the best way that you can support me. There's a giant Micro King window cling, not a sticker, but you know, a window cling. Put it on a smooth surface and it'll stick. There's a smaller Micro King actual sticker. Whole bunch of my new logo, holographic, old school Apple colors, holographic as well. Matte. Old school logo, small and holographic. Smaller Micro King, home of the Whooper. Cool, like retro 90s design, holographic. Old school logo, big holographic. Old school logo, small, matte. This is a magnet. I don't think I have any more of these. Old school logo, matte. Gangly Gang with them sparkles. Gangly Gang matte. Gangly Gang regular holographic. Kill All Carbon. Those of you that are into cars, you'll know what this is referencing. Nut Grabber. I think this is gone forever, but this is one of my favorite stickers of all time. CiottiFPV, be a hero. This is glow in the dark, yo. Glow in the dark. Come on. Come on. I ripped GoPro off and made it glow in the dark. It looks really cool too because like these little guys are in different colors. That one's like full blown green, and then yeah, this is one of my favorite stickers, and nobody ever buys it. And then this is when I sign stuff, I sign it like this. There you go, people. One of the best ways that you can support me is to buy an overpriced sticker. You're supporting me, and you get a free sticker, is the best way to think about it. Thanks for hanging, friends. FizPV says, thank you for the year, education, and this community. My pleasure. The Ends of the Turbo says, thanks, brother. It's been a year. It has certainly been a year. Love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow night at 10 o'clock. Be good. Here is Christmas stream flight footage. Here's me flying at the jungle gym. Here's me flying a 2S 1.6-inch build. Hopefully I didn't kill one of the motors. Oh my god. Hold on. Yeah, here you go. 1.6, 1002, 14,000 kV motor, 2S 300 mAh battery, Modula 7 V3 frame, Runcam Nano 3 with... No, this is Caddx Ant in a Modula 6 canopy at the jungle gym across the street from me. See you tomorrow night!
Yeah. Out in the yard where the grass grows wild, CiottiFPV's goggles locked, grinning like a child. Teddy spaghetti's, fur flies, and jet wash dreams. Yeah. Chasing small whoops like a dog possessed fiend. Eyes on a neon blur, hard in the chase. Big fuzz and prop spin, all tangled in place. Yeah. Four-legged rebel with a rotor stir tail in the circus of the sky. They never fail. CiottiFPV, Teddy spaghetti, dynamic duo kings, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed, they zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a 2D smile. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sadi's on sticks, Teddy's on paws. Side by side, legends breaking all the laws. Through the kitchen, over couch scale terrain. Backyard mayhem in their flight domain. No ground too sacred, no loop too tight. Fuzz, fuel, fury ignites the night. When pilot and pup lock eyes on the prize, every whoop they conquer is a fresh cut surprise. Yeah. Yo, Sadi behind the sticks, Teddy's leading the pack. Prop guard missiles unleashed, never looking back. No leash, no map, just freestyle mic. They on the dog drone streets every day and night. Said whoops, hitting low, gotta nail the dive. Teddy push throttle up, feel the beast come alive. I see the neon arc, got the sticks locked in, Teddy. Yeah, let's rip this loop, ride the roar of the wind, Teddy. Yep. Yeah, CiottiFPV, Teddy spaghetti, diamond and duo kings, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed, zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a 2D smile. Teddy spaghetti. Barking at the breeze, rolling at top speed, things zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a 2D smile. Yeah, when you hear that bar cut the rotor hum, you know Ciotti and Teddy's mission's just begun. FPVs sing it loud, yeah. Teddy, spaghetti, and CiottiFPV.